Garoppolo move, like a lot of mad people actually, and I can't believe they let Stidham walk as well. I feel like they would have been better suited to keep Stidham and draft a guy because I do still feel like they're going to draft a guy at 7. I don't think, but they gave Jimmy a lot of money. They actually gave him quite a bit of money.
Was it about 22.5 million, something like that?
Yeah, but I mean that's still kind of hefty. But the way the cookie crumbles, like what else were you gonna do? I guess. But I mean, I just feel like Stidham would have been a better like temporary solution. That's a weird situation.
Yeah, I thought Stidham actually played well in this limited time, man. I mean,
Right.
I just think from a standpoint of them, I think they wanted Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? They was kind of hell-bent on getting that veteran quarterback, and I think they looked at it like, who's the next best veteran quarterback on the market? And I believe the first name up there was Jimmy G. You know what I mean? If you ain't getting Jimmy G, who was you rolling with? Was you rolling with a Taylor Heineke, a Cooper Rush? But like you said previously, man, I think at the end of the day, I think the Raiders are drafting the quarterback. I don't think that's the end-all, be-all. But yeah, I don't know how you feel about Jimmy G. It's like the injury history, but one thing we know is like he wins, and
Right.
but was that the system? You know what I mean? Obviously, we all feel that way. But I just don't know how it all ties together. At the end of the day, I look at it like you have a quarterback who knows Josh McDaniel's system is in and out, and maybe this is the veteran guy he want to, you know what I mean, mentor the young quarterback, whoever comes in that door.
No, that's absolutely right. And I think, it's probably easy to just plug Jimmy into that system, but I can't say that they upgraded at quarterback. I mean, I feel like Derek Carr and Jimmy G is like the same thing. Like literally the same thing.
Right.
But one thing you can't say, like Jimmy will win you games, but speaking of quarterbacks, who do you think Carolina makes that crazy trade, give up a haul to move up to 1 overall? Which guy are they taking in that situation? They trying to relive the days with Cam, go get Anthony Richardson?
Now it's crazy because I don't think you can go Anthony Richardson, right?
I don't think so.
If you taking away just by them taking away that DJ Moore, you know what I mean, from that offense. And if you bring in a young quarterback in there, you better want a guy who's not a project, who can come in there and kind of give you some type of stability right away. This is not the situation where you want Anthony Richardson in there running for his life. You know what I mean? Not really being able to process NFL defense. I think it has to be between Bryce Young Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Kind of your pick, man. I think a lot of people generally think Bryce Young is the better one. I like CJ Stroud, so there you go.
I think, I think it's Bryce Young all the way. But I think with CJ Stroud, like, if he could just play every week the way he did in that national championship game, sign me up for that. But no, I think, the Bears, they fleeced the Panthers on this one. And you said that. Those are words out of your mouth. What'd they get? So the 1 and the 1, that's just a pick swap. But then they get an additional 1 and 2, DJ, a good wide receiver, number 1 under contract on a decent deal to go along with your guy. So now you got all your eggs in one basket, and you say, Justin, are you good or are you not? Like, you want to throw to Claypool, Mooney, DJ Moore. We got Komet over here. We got Khalil Herbert coming out the backfield. They're going to have to get a running back for him. But, I mean, now you got weapons for the guy, and can he prove it? Because if not, think about this. You can leverage all of that back around next year, give up 2 first-round picks, and go get your guy in Caleb Williams or something like that. Like, they're in a prime spot to figure it out and pivot.
Post playing chess, man. Like, I absolutely love what Chicago has done this offseason, man. He's working magic right now, man. You know what I mean? You're building around your young quarterback. You're getting them all the weapons you need. And then not only that, you traded Roquan Smith. You get his deal off the table for whatever reason. I felt like you had an all-pro there. But then you gain the extra couple picks with that. You still go and dress the linebacker room. You get a TJ Edwards in there. You get a Tremaine Edwards. You know what I mean? For pretty much the price that you would have paid Roquan anyway. So when you look at this thing from a grand scheme of things, I think he's doing an awesome job, man. And they still got a cap space. They're not done. We're going to see what they do at pick 9 now, and they still can get more weapons. Like, they kind of open this thing up to do whatever they want to do. The Panthers, I don't know what they're doing, but as far as the Chicago Bears, man, I think so far they've been hitting home runs, man. I like it.
On the Roquan thing, I mean, obviously you'd rather have Roquan Smith, and that was going to be one of my points was like, why would you make that move just to pay Edmunds all that money? But when you factor in the picks, it does kind of make sense, but you just got to make sure those picks turn out to be somebody because I would have rather had, Roquan over Edmunds. But, I mean, Edmunds is a good linebacker. That's a guy I wouldn't have mind picking up, but not for that price.
But then you got to include TJ Edwards in there. So you got 2 linebackers for the price of 1. So it's both of those
Oh, that's
guys
fair.
in this deal you got to look at. And then on that, I truly believe Tremaine Edmunds, he hasn't released his full potential. I think he can be an All-Pro. So you never know, man. I think, as far as what they've done, they haven't lost a step. The only thing I would say, the only blemish in that was, did you have to trade for Claypool? But if you're going to put Claypool back in his number 2 role, he's not expected to be your number 1. Yeah, you give up a high pick for him. But at the end of the day, you gave Justin Fields the weapons he needs, and they're good to see who they got is, man. And that's all I asked for when I was just kind of looking at this situation anyway. Just give him a chance. I still believe in him. I think he could be a star, truly, man. So it kind of look like they're following that Jalen Hurts identity. That's that same, model that the Philadelphia Eagles did last offseason and so on. So I'm excited for it.
I definitely spaced the TJ Edwards thing. For some reason, I thought he went to Buffalo. So that was a good catch. Another one that I was kind of bummed about, man. Jakobi Meyers got a nice little deal, and it wasn't even that expensive, to be honest with you. 3 for 33, only 10 guaranteed at signing. Like, basically, you get him for 2 years, 3 if you want to keep him. Like, that's a good deal. And then on the other side of that move, you get Waller on the move to the Giants to go hook up with Daniel Jones. That's a big play too.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because just talking to a Raider fan, right? And the Jimmy G news happened. I'm just listening to him, just like, oh fuck. So I'm like, what's going on, man? Man, I don't want no damn Jimmy G. I'm like, just like Jimmy G, all right, man. He's not that bad, but he's all right. And then it's like the roller coaster, man. Jakobi Meyers news happened. He's excited for that. So but personally, me seeing the Jakobi Meyers news, I thought that would mean an exit for Hunter Renfrow. I thought maybe that made more sense. You keep your tight end in there. You already had a Mac Hollins that was shown that he could step up in place of it. Being that 3rd or 4th receiver. But to have 4 or 5 receivers in that room now and then to trade a Darren Waller, I just kind of just baffled with the deal and wondering like what type of direction Josh McDaniels even trying to go at this point, man. For real.
I don't know. The Waller thing, I mean, obviously, we were talking, I was like, well, I mean, Renfro or Waller is gone, obviously. And I don't know, I guess when you put it that way, the Renfro thing, I mean, he's a little fumble machine, but maybe he just is cheaper. I'd have to look at his contract. And then Waller, like, his availability is in question, man. He's missed some time over the last 2 seasons, so the best ability is availability. And with what they're paying him, I think it probably does make sense. Because maybe they know something that we don't, like health-wise. But now Waller's a baller, and then the Giants, man, really smart move on their part. If Waller is still good and what he was a couple years ago, they still need a receiver, at least one. I mean, they've had some emergence coming out of there. Slayton, what's his name, Hodgins last year.
Hodgins emerged for sure.
They drafted Wan'Dale Robinson, similar player to Kadarius Toney, but then you get a tight end in there who is a playmaker, man. No, that was a smart move for both teams, I think.
Nah, for sure, man. You know what I'm saying? I hated the deal as far as like Waller coming into the division, but I like the deal for the Giants. You know what I mean? As much as it pains me to say that. Didn't like it for the Raiders side of it. I understand getting rid of that contract and so on, but just a 3rd round pick, I mean, even though he had the injury history, I felt like they could have did better with the deal, truthfully, man. So that's the only downside to it. And then, like I said, the identity thing of it and what Josh McDaniels is truly trying to do, because it seemed like it's one step to the left, one step to the right. Before you know it, he's doing the whole cha-cha slide, man. He ain't going nowhere. So I don't really know too much about what that direction is going to be. But I think just kind of moving forward and sticking with the division. I seen a lot of people that was panicking with the Eagles side of things. You know what I mean? Like we talked about TJ, I wish you lose that. The Slay news, you just talked about him being on the trade block. That's kind of weird that they prefer to keep Bradberry over Slay. But then what does that does to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, in addition to also losing a Jonathan Hargrave to the 49ers, which I thought was a big move for them.
See, I know I was saying this earlier. I think they want to keep Slay. They just don't want to keep him at his price tag. So I think they are trying to find a way to move off that money to turn around and re-sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I just think they'd rather give that money to him. They play totally different positions, obviously, but who's better at their position? I think that would be Chauncey, given his age and, the tempo he brought to that team last season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on your philosophy. Paying the safety over a cornerback, maybe they bring him down to the nickel a little bit more. But I do think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was a playmaker. Would they bring him back? I don't know. I think there's a lot of shooters out there, to be honest. So I think this one still has the writing, on the wall to be written.
Mm-hmm.
But so far I think it's similar to what the Cowboys doing. I think a lot of people are panicking, but they kind of just trading slowly, making little moves here and there. I thought Rashaad Penny was a great move for him.
That's a good move.
A running back who has like some of the highest upside in the league. He just got to stay on the field. So I thought it was a good move too. But Miles Sanders is on the way out.
Right.
That's the only thing. But they did resign Boston Scott as well. So still got some things intact.
No, and then with Bradberry, I'm not a Bradberry fan, and they can keep him. That works for me. But you lose Hargrave, Cox is on the market, I believe, and then you lose your linebacker. So that pass rush, likely it won't be the same, and then that secondary could suffer from that. Because you had CJ playing or Garner Johnson playing in the box. He was playing that nickel role. You lose that. That's basically additional run game help right there as well. So then now you're gonna have Bradberry out on an island. Sign me up.
Yeah.
What?
I don't think Bradberry is the better of the two cornerbacks. Not at all. You know what I mean? But I think the biggest signing for the Eagles this offseason was just getting Jason Kelce back, truly. I think that was the biggest move.
Smartest
then
move.
when you look at it from just kind of just sitting back and taking all the feelings and everything out of it, they drafted a replacement for Jonathan Hargrave last year. You know what I mean? They got the big boy from Georgia in the middle. Jakobi Dean, also Georgia teammate, was able to come in there and limited time. I think they have a guy that can fill in for TJ Edwards, so they're not really panicking about it. I just think what most teams have to do at some point, you got to let some of these older guys go, let some money off the cap, and the guys that you drafted, you got to watch them develop, man. So
right.
It's cool over there. As far as any other moves just popping out to you, I thought the Texans. I'm thinking they kind of having themselves a little offseason over there, man.
They're bargain shopping right now.
I like the Jimmy Ward move.
I do
as well, man. They're picking up some pieces.
No, Houston made some terrific moves. They got Robert Woods, Jimmy Ward. I'm not trying to just read it one for one. Derek Rivers, Noah Brown. They snatched it up from us on a very, very cheap deal too. What did you say? Something like 1 year, $2 million?
Yeah. That's not bad at all. Cheap number 4, number 3 receiver who's dependable, man. So
and will help you in the run game. So there you go, Dameon Pierce. Really, really smart move. The Houston now is sitting at number 2, and that's crazy because if Young is their guy, they just got effed in the whole deal, and that's kind of the part that's not getting talked about. Now they don't get to have their pick of the litter; they got to take what falls to them.
Which okay, so it's crazy you say that because I know you heard rumors of the Carolina Panthers who get the number 1 pick, and now they also put him back on the market for a situation like this. Like, hey, look, we could take our guy, you know what I mean? But if you want to trade that 1 pick to secure your guy, here you go. So it is a pathway for them to get Bryce Young if they choose to do so. So it's truly up to them, and truly they don't even have to draft the quarterback right now, to be honest, man. I think they're in a good position, but it seems like DeMeco Ryans is coming there with the idea of trying to win this year. And, I think the fans over there can attest that, hey, man, I think they're ready for some of that. It's been a lot of losing over there in the past year. So.
It's crazy, too. These teams that trade up for quarterbacks, that just never really works. The teams that just sit and wait, man, they always seem to be all right. Mac Jones falls to Belichick. He was like, cool, I'll sit right here, get this guy. Herbert fell to the Chargers. Remember, that was the 3rd quarterback of that draft. So... And most Chargers fans were sitting there talking about they wanted Tua, So in hindsight, see how it happened. So maybe if you're Houston, don't give up a haul, because if that's the case, then the Panthers fleeced you.
Yeah, you get your guy, and you ain't got to mortgage your future to do so, man. So other news around the league, Eckler news, the trade rumor that comes out of nowhere, the starter for agency. You think there's any truth to that, or you just think he's trying to just leverage this thing a little bit?
No, I think it is definitely true. I'm pulling up his contract right now. Dude, Eckler's on a crazy cheap deal. So he's under contract. Okay, so this is the last year of his deal, and he's set to make 6.25 base salary, which will be the highest he's ever made in a season.
Hey, Chicago might as well just keep fine tuning this thing, man. You got the picks, you got the cap space. I would definitely call. But this kind of makes the Bijan Robinson sweepstakes a little crazy because you don't know what none of these teams are gonna do. To be honest, man. But I think, you know what I mean, for the most part, if they was to lose him, it kind of makes things weird. I'm wondering where Dalton Schultz is going to land because I was thinking maybe the Chargers would be a nice little fit for him, fall on Kellen over there. Um, Maybe the Raiders. You lose a Waller, do you sign Schultz behind that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm wondering where this market is kind of hidden at this point. But as far as teams just having a good offseason, I think it's interesting what the Chiefs are doing over there. You know what I mean? You let Orlando Brown go. You signed a Jawan Johnson to replace him, getting a younger option in there, a guy who has huge pass blocking upside for a pass heavy offense. And you lose your right tackle to Washington, but at the end of the day, I just think I think they're gonna rebuild this thing through the trenches. I'm wondering like what they're gonna do as far as the weapons, but I did hear, that hey, receivers are calling Patrick Mahomes and saying, hey, I want to play with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking right now, and I'm pretty sure he's getting phone calls from certain guys. He's relaying their messages back up to the owners, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them make some more traction like over the next day or so.
Definitely. And then, we talking about other teams making a lot of moves. You got Denver; they're doing a lot, but I feel like Denver's doing way too much. To be honest with you,
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
it's kind of annoying because I just feel like they're buying too much and they're going to put themselves in cap hell. The Pittsburgh, though, I do like what they've done so far. Ogunjobi, decent defensive tackle. They get Patrick Peterson in there, and they signed DeMonte KZ. He was with us for a minute, right?
Yeah, KZ's decent.
So they're signing like these
That's
little veteran pieces for that like already good defense, man. You saw they were trying to sign Van Der Esch, so if there's one thing, Pittsburgh will try to figure out what to do on that defensive side of things.
Yeah, I mean, but they did lose a valuable cornerback in Sutton, which is
True.
why obviously they was in there on the Stephon Gilmore news. I think they're trying to replace that cornerback 2 spot. But speaking of them, I thought the Lions they doing well. Pittsburgh, they got to figure out this offensive line.
Yeah.
But it's weird because you see the first couple of days of free agency, these offensive linemen are getting overpaid, man. And they're flying off the market. It's not too many left. You see the Broncos, they doubled up on it. I seen the Texans. You see the Chiefs, obviously. Shaq Mason just got traded to the Texans as well. So, I mean, all these guards, a lot of moving pieces right now as far as the offensive line goes. So, I mean, if they want some guys, you got to get in there and do something. Or maybe they just need to have you on the draft, man. Because
That's what, and I know we kind of spoke about this before with offensive linemen, man. Like, there's only a handful of guys that are actually good just in the world in general at offensive line. So they get scooped up quick in the open market because the odds of you finding a starting right tackle is way slimmer than you signing McGlinchey for $60 million, So
you signed a Connor McGovern for
right.
10 million or something like that. So yeah. Good guys, average starters, you know what I mean?
Right.
But if you're gonna get an impact player, most I would put it like this: most premier left tackles and guards, they don't make it to free agency. So these guys you seeing coming off the board fast, you're overpaying for them, man. They're not top 10 players at their position. They're above average to good players, but I think that's about it at this point.